Welcome to Love Lies Chronicles.
You ever wake up one morning and realize you're no longer the main character in your own life? I don't mean that in some dramatic, self-pitying way. I mean you're standing there, coffee in hand, hearing your wife talk about her day, and it dawns on you she hasn't asked about yours in weeks, maybe longer. Not out of cruelty, not consciously. You've just become atmospheric. Background. Something she assumes will always be there, like the porch light or the old shelf nobody dusts. It didn't start that way. When we first got together, we couldn't stop touching each other, talking deep into the night, laughing over burned pancakes. Every little thing felt like part of some shared inside joke. For years, I thought we had something people envied. I genuinely believed I married a woman who loved my soul. Now it felt like I was in the way of her life. An obligation. Her patience with me had an expiration date, and it had come and gone. I didn't notice it all at once. These things don't announce themselves. They bleed into your world a drop at a time. A few months ago, she started skipping dinner. Said she wasn't hungry. Then she began eating earlier without telling me. I'd come home to cold dishes in the sink and her already curled up on the couch, deep into some show she used to mock. I stopped being the end of her day and became just a detail in the background. At first, I made excuses for her. Work stress. Hormones. Maybe I'd been distant without realizing. I tried harder, brought flowers, made breakfast on Sundays, offered to take over more around the house. She smiled, said thanks, and went back to her phone. But there was one night, the one that really stuck. She had a few friends over. They were drinking wine, laughing loud enough to make the walls hum. I brought in a second bottle without being asked, tried to join in the conversation. One of them, can't remember her name, brunette, sharp voice, asked how I was doing. Before I could answer, my wife cut in. Oh, he's fine. He always is. He doesn't have time for drama. He's like background stability. And they all laughed. I smiled. I even raised my glass. But inside, something cracked. It wasn't that she said it. It was how casually she said it. Like I was furniture. A floor lamp that happened to pay the mortgage. I didn't sleep that night. Just laid there next to her, listening to the soft rhythm of her breathing while 1,000 thoughts stormed through me. Over the next few weeks, the changes became sharper. She stopped telling me where she was going. Started dressing nicer to run errands. A new necklace. New perfume. A text from someone named Casey that she laughed off and deleted too fast. I asked her once, gently, if something was going on. She gave me that tired, patronizing look and said, "Don't be insecure, babe. You're overthinking again." That word, insecure, cut deeper than she knew. Or maybe she did know. Maybe that was the point. I wanted to believe her. God help me, I did. Because the alternative meant the woman I adored for years was already gone. And I wasn't ready for that. But then came the Saturday morning. She was flipping through a furniture catalog on the couch, barefoot, wearing one of my old hoodies. She used to borrow my clothes when we were dating, and back then it made me feel chosen. That morning, it just felt off. Like a wolf putting on sheep's wool for nostalgia. I sat down beside her, gently reached for her hand. She pulled away, not sharply, but casually. I stared at her for a second. "Are you okay?" I asked. She sighed, not a tired sigh, an annoyed one. "Why do you always ask that?" "Because I've been waiting months for her to care that I still cared." But I didn't say that. I just muttered, "No reason." She got up, walked to the kitchen, and said something about running late. I sat there, staring at the empty cushion where she'd been, and something inside me cooled. That was the moment. The instant I knew I wasn't fighting to save a marriage anymore. I was fighting to stay relevant in a story I no longer belonged to. I didn't throw anything. But from that second on, I started watching her. Conversations she had in the other room. Glances at her phone. The way she smiled when she thought I wasn't looking. And then, just a few nights later, she slipped up. I heard her whispering in the laundry room. The door was cracked, the dryer humming. She laughed softly and said, "He doesn't even notice anymore." I could vanish, and he'd probably still cook dinner. I froze. Then a male voice, low, playful. "That's why he doesn't deserve you." She didn't correct him. Didn't defend me. She just said, "That's what I've been saying." That was when the switch flipped. I smiled. Because in that moment, I realized, if she thought I didn't matter, then I finally had permission to show her just how different life feels without me in it. And trust me, she was going to learn the hard way. You'd think hearing your wife betray you behind a cracked laundry room door would be enough to break a man. It woke me up. See, before that night, I was still clinging to this naive hope that maybe things would go back to how they used to be. That the version of her I married still existed somewhere underneath all the coldness and contempt. That maybe I was the problem. That maybe love just got tired sometimes and needed patience. But after hearing her talk like that, mocking me, writing me off like I was just some inconvenient background noise, I stopped hoping. And for the first time in a long time, I started planning. I didn't let on. That part was crucial. The next morning, I brought her coffee in bed like I had 100 times before. She gave me a flat smile, barely lifted her eyes from her phone, and said, "Thanks, babe," like it was some chore I had finally gotten around to. I kissed her cheek. I even lingered, like a man still in love. But inside, I was already miles ahead. First thing I did was call out sick from work, not because I was hurt. Because I needed time. I opened a new bank account in my name only. Moved half of what I'd saved over the last few years. That same day, I visited a lawyer, someone a friend had recommended quietly years ago when he had gone through something similar. Told her I wasn't ready to file yet. I just wanted to know my rights. What to prepare. What to protect. When I mentioned my suspicions of an affair, though I left out the names, she raised an eyebrow and said, "You'll want to get documentation. Clean, quiet, and fast." So I did. I didn't hire a private investigator, not right away. That comes with noise. Paper trails. Exposure. Instead, I bought a burner phone and planted a basic GPS tracker in her car, a discreet one, wired under the dash. The tech was cheap, easy to use. I synced it to my phone, and just like that, I had a window into her movements. 2 nights later, she told me she had a wellness dinner with her office's leadership team. Said she might be late. She didn't notice that I didn't even ask who was going. She also didn't know I was parked 4 cars behind her when she pulled into a quiet boutique hotel on the other side of town. She walked in with that same man from The Voice in the laundry room, tall, lean, with that smug, two-groom look guys wear when they think being charming is a skill set. He held the door open for her, his hand resting just a little too low on her back. They didn't check in at the front desk. They walked through the lobby like they'd done this before. Like they had a room already waiting. I stayed in the car. I didn't need to see more. I already had what I came for, certainty. Funny thing is, I didn't feel rage. Not anymore. I felt clarity. She thought she was in control of the story. That she could string me along, play her side piece, and keep the house, the comfort, the image. But what she didn't realize, what she completely failed to understand, was that the moment you erase someone's value, you free them to become something else entirely. That night, I didn't go home. I went to an old friend's house, Marcus, from college, someone she barely tolerated because he wasted his potential by becoming a contractor. He owed me a favor from years ago when I helped him keep his business afloat. I asked if he still had the keys to that 2-bedroom apartment he used as an office on the weekends. Said I needed a short-term space. No questions asked. He handed them over without hesitation. I spent the rest of that night lying on the bare mattress, fully clothed, staring at the ceiling fan as it hummed above me. I didn't feel anything except focus. I wasn't going to blow up my marriage in a fury. I was going to peel it apart piece by piece. And make sure when she finally realized I was gone, she'd have to live in the ruins she built with her own hands. Because if she thought life felt predictable, boring, or safe with me in it, she had no idea what it would feel like without me. The next morning, I was back before sunrise. She was still asleep when I walked in, same side of the bed, same relaxed posture, like nothing in the world had shifted. But I had. I was no longer the man who'd quietly tuck the blanket under her chin or leave a kiss on her temple. That part of me had packed up and left 2 nights ago. I stood in the doorway for a moment longer than I should have, wondering how someone could look so peaceful while they were busy ruining everything we built. Then I turned, walked out, and started making coffee like I was still a man with a home. By the time she woke up, I had my bag packed and a thermos in hand. I told her I was driving out to a job site a few hours away. Claimed there had been a scheduling emergency, something last minute. She didn't look concerned. Barely looked up from her phone. Just said, "Bring back that charger I left in your truck." No kiss. Not even a real goodbye. And that's what confirmed it for me. She truly believed I'd always orbit around her. That I could vanish for days and still come back like some dependable little moon. That week, I stopped being dependable, at least, not in the way she was used to. I didn't blow anything up. Didn't start fights or make accusations. That wasn't the game I was playing. I wanted her confused, not defensive. Off balance. Just enough to start questioning her grip on things without realizing she was already losing it. First, I started canceling things she relied on. Our shared grocery card expired suddenly. The Amazon account mysteriously signed out and wouldn't take the old password. When she asked, I shrugged. Weird. I'll look into it. She rolled her eyes. Everything's weird lately. Next, I stepped away from the tasks she never even noticed I handled. The utilities. The insurance. The car maintenance. Trash day. When something needed doing, I was no longer there to make it disappear. The garbage piled up. She forgot the recycling schedule. Her tire pressure light blinked for 3 days before she texted me in all caps, asking what to do. I answered 2 hours later with one word. Mechanic. She started calling more. Sometimes to ask where something was. Sometimes just to see where I was. I always kept it vague. Out. Busy. With Marcus. Short answers. Controlled. Emotionless. Enough to suggest I wasn't mad, but not nearly enough to reassure her. And in that space between silence and detail, she started to unravel. The first time I heard it in her voice was on a Thursday night. She left a voicemail instead of texting, which she hadn't done in months. Her tone was soft. Too soft. Hey, just checking in. It's late. I thought you'd call back by now. Anyway, I'm around if you want to talk. Or whatever. She paused for a beat, then added, I miss you. Not in a weird way. Just miss you. I didn't call her back. That weekend, she ran into Marcus, intentionally or not. I couldn't say. He told me she asked a strange question. Has he said anything about me? No context. Just that. Then she laughed like it was nothing. But Marcus said her eyes looked like someone bracing for bad news. The next step was removing myself physically. I packed more than an overnight bag and told her I needed to stay somewhere else for a while. That I needed space to figure out who I was without the noise. She didn't argue. But something behind her eyes shifted, like the first crack in the mirror. She was unsure. And that scared her more than anything. You're just leaving you, she asked. I'm not leaving you, I said carefully. I'm finding me. She tried to play it cool, nodding as if she respected the idea. But I could feel the panic bubbling just under the surface. Just don't shut me out, okay? She said, quieter now. I know things haven't been perfect, but let's not make it worse than it is. I promised I'd stay in touch. Every word was a lie. From the apartment, I tracked the fallout in real time. She barely cleaned, posted less online. The confident woman who used to command every room now looked, according to mutual friends, a little off. Some asked if everything was okay between us. She said I was just processing things. She didn't know what I'd found. That I'd seen her step into that hotel with a man who wasn't me. That I'd listened to her whisper in the laundry room like a teenager caught up in something exciting and stupid. She had no idea the real story was already being rewritten without her. A week passed. Then 10 days. She texted more often now. Sometimes just a hey. Other times long paragraphs that started nostalgic and ended defensive. Her tone shifted from soft to sharp to pleading, like she was spinning a roulette wheel, hoping something would land right. One night, around 1 a.m., she called 5 times in a row. I let it ring every time. Then I turned the phone off. I didn't need to hear her ask what was happening. Because what was happening was exactly what I'd promised myself the night I walked out. She was finally beginning to feel what life was like without me holding it together. And this was just the beginning. By the end of the second week, the silence stopped being an absence and started becoming an answer. She'd text less, but longer paragraphs filled with contradictions. One message would sound reflective, the next accusatory. She'd ask if I was seeing someone, then 5 minutes later say she understood if I needed space. But underneath it all, you could feel it building, confusion curdling into fear. She was finally starting to panic. From the outside, everything still looked intact. Our house was still hers. Her social media still showed curated glimpses of normalcy. Smiling brunch photos. Yoga mat selfies. Carefully filtered Zen energy posts. But it was all crumbling behind the curtain. I knew because she started making calls to mutual friends, ones who hadn't heard from me either. She wanted to know if I was okay, if they'd seen me, if I'd mentioned her. One of them, Claire, who never particularly liked her, called me directly. She sounds off, Claire said. Not angry. Like, broken. Good. She was supposed to feel that. Because here's the part no one talks about. When a man starts to disappear, the world doesn't fall apart all at once. At first, you think you're adjusting. But what you're really doing is unraveling with a smile. The unraveling had begun. One night, I got a voicemail. Her voice was shaking, something between rage and desperation. I can't believe you're just walking away like this. After everything, I gave you my best years, and now you just vanish like I'm some mistake? You think you're punishing me? You're just proving why we fell apart in the first place. I listened to the message twice. It was all about her. How she felt abandoned. How she didn't deserve to be treated this way. It made me laugh. Because the woman who used to talk down to me like I was wallpaper now couldn't figure out how to function in the house I'd kept upright for years. The car insurance had lapsed. She called me in a fury when she found out. I didn't answer. The electricity was nearly cut off after she forgot to pay the online bill I'd always handled. She messaged me in all caps. I left it on read. The property tax reminder came in the mail. I let her sweat. One by one, all the invisible scaffolding I'd been holding up. Every piece of the life she thought ran on autopilot was collapsing around her. But the worst part wasn't financial. It was personal. She finally confronted him, the man from the hotel. The guy with the charming voice and smug confidence who had told her she deserved better. He'd started pulling away, too. I found out from the most unexpected source, her sister. She'd always had a weird loyalty to me, even after the separation. I ran into her at a bookstore, of all places. She pulled me aside and said, "Whatever you're doing, it's working." I raised an eyebrow. She smirked. He's ghosted her. That guy, the one she thought she was building something with. He won't return her texts. Told his friends she was too intense. She's spiraling. I stayed quiet. She thought you'd beg to come back, her sister added. But you didn't. And now she's seeing what life looks like without a net. She dismissed me like I was disposable. Like I was just another tired man she'd grown bored of. She thought I'd stay, no matter what. That I'd bend, break, and quietly shrink into the corners of her life while she flirted with attention and played house with someone else. What she never saw coming was that the day I stopped caring, I stopped needing her. And now she was standing in the center of the life she built on sand, watching the tide come in. By the end of that week, she called again. I let it go to voicemail. I know I've made mistakes. And I know I took you for granted. I just want to talk. That's all. Please. Her voice cracked on the last word. She was finally beginning to feel what I had felt every day for the last year. What it means to matter to someone, and suddenly not. It took me a few days to decide whether I'd meet her. Her last voicemail still echoed in my head, softer than any version of her I'd heard in years. It was the kind of voice you use when you know the curtain's falling and there's only one line left in the play. I wasn't interested in reconciliation. That door was long shut. But there was still one thing I owed her. Not closure, not forgiveness, but the truth. The one she'd never bothered to ask for back when she thought she was the only one with power. I chose the location carefully. A neutral place. A quiet little park halfway between our old life and the one I'd started building alone. I told her the time, told her I wouldn't wait long. When she arrived, she looked like a ghost of herself. No makeup, eyes swollen, dressed in that familiar oversized sweater she used to wear when she was hungover or hiding something. But this time, she wasn't hiding anything. She looked exposed. She walked over slowly, cautiously, like she wasn't sure if I'd already changed my mind. Her arms were crossed. A defense mechanism she didn't realize gave her away. "Thanks for coming," she said quietly. I nodded. She sat down beside me on the weather-worn bench, leaving a few inches between us. That gap said everything. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The silence wasn't uncomfortable. It was deliberate. Then she finally said it. "I messed up." She sighed. "I wasn't trying to ruin us, you know. I got lost. I thought I needed something else. And I kept thinking you'd be there no matter what." I turned my head slowly, studying her face. "Yeah," I said. "I figured that out. That's the problem." She looked down, nodding. "I didn't mean to treat you like you didn't matter," she said. "But you did," I replied. Another silence. This one heavier. She turned to face me, eyes glistening. "I miss you. I miss what we had. I miss how you looked at me like I was enough, even when I didn't deserve it." I held her gaze, unblinking. "You didn't just take me for granted. You replaced me before you even had the guts to say you were unhappy. You tried me on like a coat you were planning to return, while already browsing something new in the window." Her shoulders tensed. "I was angry," she whispered. "No," I said. "You were entitled." She blinked. "So that's it? You're just done?" I didn't answer right away. Instead, I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. Her name was printed across the top. No drama. Just facts. She took it, confused. Her eyes scanned the page, and I watched the moment it hit. The formal separation agreement. Clean. Complete. Non-negotiable. I already filed, I said. You'll get the official notice next week. She stared at it, lips parting slightly. So this is really over. It's been over, I said. This is just the paperwork. Tears welled up in her eyes. She clutched the paper like it might change something if she held it hard enough. I thought you'd fight for me, she said. I shook my head slowly. No. You thought I'd stay. And when I didn't, you thought I'd break. And now that I haven't, you think I owe you another chance. Her tears started falling silently. She didn't try to wipe them. I loved you, she said. No, I corrected her gently. You loved what I gave you. My time. My stability. My quiet loyalty. You just never thought it would run out. She whispered, please, just tell me there's still something left. I stood up. There is, I said, looking down at her. There's the version of you that gets to sit in the silence you made. That gets to understand what it feels like to be dismissed. That gets to live in the house you thought would always stay warm, after you pushed the one person who built the fire out into the cold. She started to sob, but I didn't stay to comfort her. I walked away, slowly, steadily, until her crying faded into the background. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't carrying her with me. She dismissed me like I didn't matter. So I made sure she understood exactly what life felt like without me.
Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.